Hey guys! I'm so happy to see so many of you have turned in some really nice mannequin drawings of the people in the different views. So the front view, side view, and three-quarter view. They were pretty good. Some people were having some issues a little bit with three-quarter view, where maybe the shoulder that was further away from you was showing a little too much. So that's something that we'll get into a little bit more as we're drawing. So here I am again with my very low-tech videotaping. What I wanted to show you today was how to apply the idea of drawing a person beginning in stick figure form, but then working to mannequin form to get realistic poses. And this is what you're going to be doing for your next assignment. So this picture I have here is a photograph of mannequins at different angles. Most of them are front facing. Actually, the chest on all of them are front facing. The legs kind of do some different things. This reference is in your resources folder in Schoology, so you can take a look at this. But I just wanted to show you a couple of things in terms of when the limbs are bending and how proportions still remain the same. So I'm going to go in here with my marker. So if you take a look at this guy, let me zoom in a little bit. So you'll see that his arm is bent, right? This part of the arm and that part of the arm are still the same size. The elbow is still at the waist, okay? So that proportion stays the same. You want to watch that. And really, it's kind of like a clock. I think of it this way. So if you were to draw sort of an angle or an arc that comes off of the elbow, like that's how far away, like if you were drawing the arm here, the shoulder would be here and then the arm would be this high. So you can even measure it. Sometimes I'll go in and I'll take my hand. That's kind of small, but I'll take that and I'll measure it and then see where that would line up. But that's pretty much where it would line up. Now I'm gonna say the mannequin heads are like a little too tall, I think. If you look at this one, that elbow is definitely not lining up with the top of the head. But in real life, a person's elbow would match up with their head. So you wanna make sure to adjust for that. But in any case, all of our limbs, they move on a central pivot. So if our arm, for example, was going to draw a line in space as it moved, it would be an arc like that. Okay. You can also kind of see that arc happening here. So here you have the full length of the leg is straight. And if I were to draw kind of an arc from the knee, it's the same thing. Okay, so it's the same length, but it's just pointing in a different direction in space. If the leg was raised up higher, it would be more here. Okay, so it's gonna follow that pivot. I don't have an image of it right here, but if you've ever seen the famous Vitruvian Man done by Leonardo da Vinci, where you have the man standing straight with his hands at his sides, and then you see him again with his arms outstretched and his legs outstretched, so he looks like a big X. That is one of the most famous examples of showing proportion and movement of the human figure. All right, so you can definitely take a look at that for your reference. Okay, I also have this as a reference, and I really like this. All of these were found by me on Pinterest or online, so I haven't drawn all of these because there's just so many good examples online. So this is kind of working backwards. Before, you were working mostly from a mannequin, right, and simplifying. Now you have to apply those same principles of the stick figure and the mannequin to a real human. So I'm going to zoom in down here a little. So if you notice on this person who's standing here, what the artist did was they put in dots at the joints. Okay, so you see the dots here. They put in lines to indicate the spine shape. And then the legs, so the angles of the legs. Legs can't really bend in the middle. They can only bend there, right? So you see a dot there. Sorry, it's not a great printout. You even see a dot at the ankle and then a dot or a line rather, indicating the angle of the foot. And then they did the face as just a circle at sort of halfway down. So if you wanted to, you could do the oval too. It almost looks like a constellation, right? All right, so then they're moving over, and now you're seeing what this stick figure would look like not on top of the human body. So you can see where all those dots are placed. You can see where all the lines are, and they added a little bit more of a detail there for the rest of the face. And they did include on the first one too, the hip, sort of this like parallelogram for the hip. Okay. And then here they're building the mannequin shapes around the stick figure. And then they're starting to include a little bit more of a curvature to show the body. You know, here it's not just a regular tube, but they're actually showing a little bit of that shape of the calf. You'll notice the thigh is wider as it goes up. It gets narrower towards the knee. And then you have that little muscle curve there. And then you see the same up here with the arm. The arm is wider at the top. It gets narrower. You see the circle for the joint. You see the lower arm, and then you see the hands. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. This is also in your resources. Okay, so here's what I did. I went online and I found some images of people in motion. Okay, so there's a few ways that you can go about doing this. I do want you to have, should we say 5? I think 5 is a good number. Oh, you're seeing my sleeve there. So let's do 5. I did 3 just on this paper. So if you want to and you have access to a printer, you can go online and find some really nice high quality pictures of people in motion. I would avoid finding images of people whose arms are like coming straight out at you or who are kicking right at you. I would try to find more images that are a little more of like a side view where everything's sort of staying flat. If you have things coming out at you, it really changes all the proportions of everything. And we can talk about that, but not yet. That's a little more advanced. So what I did was I looked up figures in motion, and then I ended up looking some specific things. So for this one, for example, I specifically looked up yoga. And then this one, I specifically looked up track because I just liked some of the track images that I was coming across. Okay, and then I have a dancer. So what you are gonna be doing, you can do this in marker if you want to. You could print them out and draw right on the printout. You could find images in a magazine or in a newspaper if you have anything like that. Or if really it's difficult to get any printouts of anything, you could do this right on your iPad. So you could actually find images, you could bring them into Notability, and you could draw right on the images, okay? I'm not too concerned with the output. I just really want to see that you're understanding how to align the joints and line work on the figure, okay? And there's going to be a lot of examples of this in Schoology as well. So let me get started with this guy. It's gonna be hard to hold my phone and draw at the same time, but all right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off by drawing the circle for his head, okay? And I'm gonna try to get it in the same angle and position that it is. Then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna put his neck, okay? I'm gonna see, like he's sideways right now, so I definitely see that shoulder standing out. This shoulder is a little harder to see. I'm gonna make it a little smaller and a little further back, okay? And then I'm gonna make the line that would connect those two. So technically the collarbone, right? Then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna make a line for the spine. So really his back is pretty straight. Even though he's at an angle, there's no curve in the spine at all. All right, I'm gonna go back up to his elbow. I'm gonna go to his wrist. Okay, so I'm putting in all of those circles. Then I'm gonna go in and make sort of like that mannequin shape. So what might be cool is if you did do this on your iPad, I'm thinking you might be able to remove the photograph afterwards and then you can see what it actually looks like. Here for the hand, I'm just gonna kind of do that. Okay, does that make sense? Over here, because his chest is kind of covering up his arm, I'm gonna go in and do his chest. And you can actually see sort of like where the musculature is. So I'm gonna draw that line in for there. And then I'm gonna draw this line in for the rest of his torso. Okay. This arm back here, you can definitely see the majority of it. So I'm gonna draw that in like that. I know it's kind of hard to see. I was trying to sit right by the window, there you go, for some good lighting, but it's still a little bit tough. All right, so now when you get down to the hip area, one leg's in front of the other. So this is gonna be a pretty big joint right here. I'm gonna draw in the knee joint, and then I'm gonna connect that. And then I'm gonna do the same down here. I'll do his little ankle joint. And again, making sure that that's thinner. I mean, basically you're tracing the person, so you're gonna get the proportions right in the sense of the widths of everything. Over here, I'm gonna do this leg. That leg's on top, so that'll be underneath there. The other thing with the iPad is you might be able to choose a different color than black. Okay. So there is my finished person. Okay, so he looks like a mannequin now. If I go back to, what that guy looks like, I mean, he looks a lot better, right? Than that guy. The mannequins look a little stiff, but that's how it would end up looking. Okay, so that's probably the hardest one that I chose to do just because it's more of a 3/4 view. It's almost a side view, but his chest is a little more 3/4. If I was gonna work on the ballerina, it would probably be a little bit more straightforward, okay? And same with the yoga person. I'm gonna work on the ballerina real quickly just because you might see my marker better. And I just wanna show you a little difference with the spine because her body is a lot more facing us, like a lot more straight on, but her spine has that curve to it. So again, I would do the head, the neck, shoulders, okay? And then the spine is more like this, right? It curves like that, okay? And then from there, because she's straight on, you're gonna see both of those hip joints. Sometimes clothing makes it tough to see where things are, so I'm gonna assume her knee is like right around there. This knee is here. And it's funny, right? Because it looks different because of the way that she's positioned. So that leg looks a lot longer, but we know it's not. And then up here, this leg, part of the leg looks longer here than this one does, because this one's more contracted. Okay. I'm gonna go back up to her arm. So I have the shoulder, you have those little joints. You can see her elbow is like right at her head. Sometimes athletes and models have different proportions than the rest of us. Models, for example, models who are like super skinny and really tall can be up to 9 heads tall as opposed to 6 or 7 or even 8. All right, so that's the mannequin there. Notice I didn't do anything with her hair. I just kind of left it, but you can see the mannequin there. Okay, so that is your assignment for just kind of the remainder of the week. I want you to find 5 of these figures, okay? And I want you to make mannequin models of them on top of the figure, okay? I will have a submission for that as well as some instructions with what you're supposed to do on there. And again, there's a lot of resources in the folder that show different examples of people being drawn on top of, like from newspaper clippings and so forth. And this is ready, or getting us ready rather, to draw people from observation. So that's what we're going to focus on next week. So we're going to start drawing people from real life right in front of us. I'm going to show you how to go from the mannequin to adding the clothing and making it more realistic that way. And then we're going to do a cool project that has to do with motion and the figure. I hope everybody's well. Please continue to email me if you have any questions about anything. And I can't wait to see your drawings. Take care.